Gabi and Eren's similarities were nearly immediately identified by the community when she was first introduced. Half of the fanbase ran the comparison into the ground 3 years ago, and the other half of the fanbase rejected it outright because they didn't like Gabi. Because of this, I don't think I have to spend much time in this video establishing the connection here between the two characters, but I do want to spend time discussing why Isayama has written their characters in tandem like this. It's a very clever and core detail of the series that Isayama has crafted, and I think the importance of this parallel should be highlighted. In the most recent chapter of the manga as of the creation of this video, chapter 124, there is a parallel scene that connects the two characters. In this panel, Gabi ties her hair up with determination while looking into a mirror, which is nearly identical to this panel in Attack on Titan chapter 106, where Eren does exactly the same thing. This is an example of the parallels we are talking about. The reason I'm bringing up this most recent example is because it got me thinking, which led me to the thought that is being funneled into this video. The main thing I found myself thinking about was what is the point of paralleling characters in a grander sense, and more specifically, why has Isayama gone through all the laborious work to make this parallel between Eren and Gabi so blatant? Well, in the grander sense, paralleling characters is used to demonstrate a connection between two characters that shows how similar they are. Reiner and Eren were paralleled so much because Isayama needed the audience to view Eren and Reiner as the same thing, for thematic reasons. They are both the chief representations of their sides of the conflict. Eldia for Eren and Marley for Reiner. Their parallels are so important because it is used to demonstrate how both sides are the same, since Reiner and Eren are the same. They are the representation of Marley versus Eldia on a smaller scale in the narrative. This gives the audience something to think about in relation to the grander theme of the story. So then what's the reason Gabi and Eren have been made so abundantly parallel? It's because the entire conceit around Gabi as a character is that she is a representation of the younger, purer version of Eren. Therefore, symbolically, the Eren from the beginning of the story can interact and play off the current Eren, and the juxtaposition there can be used to highlight both how much Eren has grown throughout the series and how much he has fallen. It's literally this speak like a child moment from Cowboy Bebop. Because ultimately, if we zoom out here, Eren Yeager's story is the hero, the protagonist, falling from grace. He once fought for the betterment of all of humanity, but now fights specifically for his group of people and seeks to eradicate everyone else. Whereas Gabi's story is the hero, the protagonist, rising to glory. She once fought for a specific group of people and wanted to eradicate everyone else, but now fights for the betterment of all humanity. With Eren, we watched a protagonist become a villain, and with Gabi, we watched a villain become the protagonist. There's a reason this panel was framed this way: David versus Goliath, hero versus villain. But who would have guessed 10 years ago that Eren, the attacker of the Titans, if you will, would be the Goliath the hopeful human youth would have to overcome to change the world? So this is why I think a very likely ending of the entire story is Gabi either taking Eren out or talking him out of his current mindset. He will see the younger version, the purer version of himself in her, and realize how far he's fallen, just like Faye did in Cowboy Bebop, in what is widely considered one of the best moments in anime history. It's a beautiful turn of irony and juxtaposition. I think it's almost certain that Eren dies at the end of this series. I don't think the narrative can forgive him for what he did in Liberio, but I do think he'll get some redemption before he goes. And realizing how lost he has become and how far he has strayed from the path is a form of redemption, though everything here needs to be taken with a massive grain of salt, because predicting the ending of Attack on Titan is basically setting yourself up for failure. But after all, Gabi is literally the contradictory embodiment of what Eren believes. She's his foil. Eren doesn't believe people can be reasoned with and convinced that the Paradisians aren't devils, but Gabi demonstrates that hope is not lost. Through Gabi's character arc, the narrative has demonstrated that people on the most extreme ends of things, as Gabi was, can eventually understand. After all, there were no devils on that island. So Gabi functionally disproves Eren's philosophy, and thematically that means Eren loses. That's why Gabi and Eren are constantly paralleled, because Gabi as a character is a study on Eren as a character. Gabi would have no reason to exist in the narrative if Eren hadn't fallen so far. She's a utility for the most depressing, ironic juxtaposition possible in Attack on Titan, and it's beautiful. She's used to show how much our once beloved main character has fallen. But there's more to talk about regarding Gabi and the most recent chapter. Another interesting talking point surrounding Gabi I've seen coming out of this chapter is that people are complaining that her character development is generic. According to some people, she's a generic hero now, and this statement both laughably reeks of hypocrisy and bad faith acting. Acting in bad faith is an argumentative tactic that basically means that someone is arguing a point dishonestly. And the reason I believe people making this complaint are acting in bad faith is because it reeks of hypocrisy. To me, it seems the people who complain about this don't actually believe this and are just reciting this talking point because they dislike Gabi. They don't dislike Gabi because her character development is generic. They dislike Gabi and therefore think her character development is generic. These are the people who have always disliked Gabi and are now just attaching this most recent talking point to their repertoire to try and justify it to themselves. People are married to this anti-Gabi narrative and will acquire any argument that seems to bolster their position. But then the hypocrisy comes in, because the people saying that she's a generic hero are the same people that have been decrying her as a villainous bitch for the last 2 years. What happened is people have realized, holy shit, Isayama is betraying Gabi as a hero. They realized they could no longer argue that she's a villain without seeming like complete morons. They needed another method of attack against her as a character, since with the last one they paid dearly for being so stupid. So they've decided to go with the genericism route and hope for the best. But this new line of reasoning is equally as stupid. She can't be a generic hero if she was once a maniacal villain. That seems like a hell of a character transformation to me. And her development wasn't rushed either. That's another talking point I see being thrown around. She literally spent a whole chapter in a cell thinking about things, so that argument doesn't work either. The real reason people dislike Gabi is either because she killed Sasha or because it became a meme, and these people will never admit to either of these because it only further makes them look stupid. They can't admit to hating Gabi because she killed Sasha, because that would be antithetical to the entire thematic point of the story. If you're still mad at Gabi for killing Sasha, you've massively missed the point. And people don't want to admit they fell for the meme because then they'd have to admit that they were drawn in by the groupthink. And if there's one thing that people are prideful of, it's their individuality. And no one wants to admit they don't like Gabi because everyone else seemed to and they wanted to fit in. You can complain about Gabi's development being predictable. If there's one prediction I've stuck to all these years, it's that I thought Gabi was going to be our final protagonist, and this may be the only prediction I predicted way out that's actually going to be proven true. So if anyone should be lobbying this predictable criticism at Isayama for the direction of Gabi's character, it should be me. But I have no reason to. Predictable doesn't equal bad, and it seems that most people didn't see it coming. Plus the catharsis I've gotten from slowly being proven right as she's transformed into a hero is euphoric. So I don't feel like Gabi is in any way a bad character. You can go back and watch my tier list. I put her in S tier. We've been sitting on this side of the fence for a while now. So Gabi is a character I like, and Gabi and Eren's parallels that I talked about earlier in this video and the way those parallels play into the characterization of Eren is brilliant, so I have no interest in criticizing a character I think is great. I like Gabi conceptually, thematically, and practically in the narrative. So in a roundabout way, that's why Gabi is a great character, and that's why Eren and Gabi being paralleled is so important to the narrative. Support links in the description below. Thanks.